Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to a new video. But before we get into it, I would like to take a moment to say thank you to all my channel members whose names are appearing on screen now. If you wish to become a channel member and support the channel, you can do so by clicking the link in the description. The first tier will get your name on screen at the beginning of reaction videos. The second tier will get your name on screen plus access to bi-weekly members only live streams. And the third tier will get you all of that plus a members only video on the weeks where I'm not live streaming. Usually these videos are live updates or get ready with me style videos, but sometimes it's recipes or training things. It depends really. You obviously don't have to become a member to support the channel. Just by simply watching, you are supporting the channel. But if you want to send a super thanks, you can do so too. And you can always comment, like and subscribe if you wish to support the channel further. Now, let's get into the video. Hey guys, what's up and welcome back to the channel. My name is Leona. I'm also known as Chikara Transformations. I'm an online health and fitness coach and I'm also a bodybuilder. And today we're going to look at some Funtie Times. This video has actually been sent to me by a few people. It's dog phobia is a huge issue in the dog community. Now, in case you don't know, I have two dogs myself. They're rescues. And I love my dogs dearly. To the point where I dare say they kind of almost saved my life. I have a cat too. Here she is. Hey Violet, do you want to come? Come on then. Come on then, Violet. She decided she needed cuddles at 3 o'clock this morning. This is why we're here filming right now. Allez. So, I have two dogs myself. And I love them dearly. But we'll get into the love of all of that when we get to the video. Before we do get into the video, if you want to be part of the Phoenix Rising, which is my 8 weeks transformation program, that with the check-ins and the competition, that will start on the 16th of November. Not November, January. Then be sure to email me, the email that's in the description down below. And also, if you want to just buy training plans or training nutrition and a welcome pack with guidance for an 8-week period, you can do that too. The only thing is you don't have access to the live streams and to the competition that I run. The competition that I run is basically the best transformation, can win a cash prize. But it's not just about fat loss. Plenty of people do the competition to build muscle, put on weight, to change their habits. So yeah, if you're interested, the link is in the description down below. And I think that's it. Oh, actually, I think my YouTube's being a bit funny. I think I've maybe had like a little bit of a shadow ban. So if you wanna support the channel, you wanna see more videos of me, or you're already a supporter, then be sure to make sure that you are subscribed. And maybe if you're not subscribed, maybe do the notification bell, turn it off and on again. And that might help with the algorithm, because I don't know what it is, but I can see that I haven't done really anything different. And I'm just noticing that a lot of videos aren't progressing the same way they should compared to other videos, compared to what they used to do. So I think I've just incurred like a slight shadow ban. I think it might be because I had a couple of vlogs that got demonetized. I think that's why. And they got demonetized because I'm posing in a bikini. Can you imagine? Literally a stage bikini got me demonetized. It's nudity apparently. But besides that point, let's get into the video, shall we? I might skip through the bits where Funtie Times is talking, because we often say kind of the same thing. But regardless, let's have a look and see what's up.
Hello, everyone. Today is an interesting day because we are going to talk about dogs. Now, I personally love dogs, and I found a TikToker that also loves dogs and loves talking about dog fat phobia, which is something I don't know much about. So let's watch together and learn.
My stance on fat animals and fat children, or obese dogs and obese children, I see it as abuse. It's maybe not the same as, physical abuse where you're harming your child with a slap or something like that. But animals, especially pets that are domesticated, they eat what you feed them. So it's your responsibility to make sure they get fed properly. And the same with children. Children don't have the ability to, make their own food. I mean, technically they can, but you are still the provider to make sure that the food that they're eating, and even if they were to make their own food, that it's healthy food. So if your child is obese, you're setting them up for a lifetime of sickness, for a lifetime of problems and an early death. And how that's not abusive, I don't understand.
It's time for our quarterly fatphobic dog comment. I know I'm not going to change this person's opinion. They're going to be a jerk and that's their prerogative. But for those of you who are curious about this and want to learn more, let's talk about it. When I talk about fat phobia in the dog community, a lot of people have such a poor and biased understanding of what fat phobia is that they assume that what I mean is they think that fat phobia is getting your feelings hurt, as if them saying that your dog is fat is going to hurt your dog's feelings. But of course, that's not what I'm talking about. Obviously, our dogs don't speak enough English or understand the concept of fat phobia to care if someone calls them fat. But their owners do.
So this is going to come down to you telling somebody that their dog is fat is hurting the owner's feelings. Am I understanding that right? Interesting.
This culture of fat phobia exists everywhere we go. It's why some dog owners feel pressured to buying expensive diet dog foods and low-calorie treats.
I mean, you shouldn't have to buy expensive dog food, but I've just noticed from having dogs myself that the more expensive dog food tends to be of higher quality. In terms of, like, I get my dog's Tundra, which is like completely grain free, and it's basically it has a mixture of like animal meats in there as well, the granolas, and on top of them I also give them dry food, which is literally just innards, or sometimes I have them on with like salmon and spinach and stuff like that. And I give my dogs, sometimes I give them treat that tends to be like dried meats of some sort, like dried fillets of some sort and stuff like that. But my dogs also love things like eggs. Sometimes I give them eggs, I give them chicken. Chicken is always a favourite. Bits of steak, if I'm eating steak and the fat that's on there, I'll give them that. So you shouldn't have to give your dogs expensive treats, but the reality is that the cheap treats tends to be just full of sugar and bad, like not great stuff. It's kind of like, you know, when you go to a supermarket and you spend £5 or €5 or $5 or whatever, if you're going to get like a healthy meal, you probably won't get as much in terms of like value for calories than if you went to the frozen aisle section and got like pizzas and nuggets and stuff.
It can even change the way people choose to train their dogs. Rather than going with a method that's right for them, some people feel pressured to choose training methods that don't involve treats because they are so concerned with the possibility that their dog might become fat.
As long as you exercise your dog properly, a small treat here and there shouldn't make a difference in terms of not getting big. I think the whole treats thing just depends on like whether your dog is very focused on food. Like my dogs, if I have some chicken or if I can bribe my dogs with food. My dogs love food. They're street dogs, so well, Rosie's a bit fussy. Daisy will eat anything, but because they're street dogs, they're just I think most dogs like to eat there. Don't get me wrong, but mine are very food focused. But not all dogs are. So trying to teach your dog tricks with a treat doesn't work. Some respond better to toys. You just have to figure out what works for your dog.
And it can even show up in the medical care we receive for our dogs. Veterinarians are not exempt from living in a fat-phobic culture, and that does affect their decision-making. Now, obviously, no dogs were bred to be fat, but also genetics do impact weight.
I mean, she's got like a bulldog and stuff there, and there are some breeds that are more heavy set than other dogs, obviously. So if you were to see like, she's got like a greyhound there, a fat greyhound will obviously be a lot more problematic, whereas bulldogs, they do tend to be a bit heavier set. I don't know what that is actually, but yeah, there is definitely some breeding where, like, there's some breeds are definitely bred to be bigger.
Body type, body size, muscle tone, etc. Backyard breeders tend to not pay attention to the genetics of their dogs. This is going to impact how they gain weight. And don't forget that 99% of the dogs in humane societies and shelters are going to be coming from backyard breeders, which means their genetics are likely going to be poor. There are so many factors that could affect a dog's weight or their ability to lose weight. And yet, so many people feel qualified to shame dog owners for having a fat dog without knowing anything about the why. And that feeling of entitlement to shame owners for having a fat dog is fatphobia.
I kind of get what she's saying, and it depends on like how big the dog is, and like obviously some breeds are bigger than others, but it is like, I don't know, it is animal abuse, isn't it, where you see like these fucking really fat dogs waddling about, barely being able to stand up properly. It just depends on like how big they are. There's people like, one of the vets said that like Daisy is overweight, but I don't reckon that Daisy is though, because of the fact that like she eats the same as Rosie, and Rosie's skinny as fuck. It's not like that Daisy eats a lot of food at all, and she gets a lot more exercise than what Rosie does, but they eat the same food. For the most part, Rosie's a bit fussy with the food sometimes. I think Daisy is just set that way. Like even from a young pup, she's just like bigger bone. And I exercise her a lot, so I do think she is muscular. Because when you look at her from the side, you can see that the stomach goes in, you know, it has that, this shape. So she's just stocky, like me. She's just like her mummy, you know? And meanwhile, I've got a fat dog. No, I don't think she is. I don't believe she is. She doesn't eat that much. She literally eats the same as Rosie, and Rosie's skinny as fuck. Like, Rosie's actually skinny. But Daisy's like a solid 5 kilos heavier than her, so...
Because weight does not equal health. Weight is not the sole or best predictor of a dog's health. There are skinny dogs that are very unhealthy, and there are fat dogs that are doing just fine. No one is saying that health is not important, or that we can't have conversations about weight. But y'all's insistence that you should be entitled to shame people for the weight of their dog proves my point. Fat phobia exists in the dog community. And if you're still not sure, I got a whole playlist for you.
Proper order. So I think she's saying that mutts and other dogs that don't come from fancy breeders are more prone to being fat because breeders tend to breed out the fat genes in the dogs. And I have no doubt that there are actually some obesity genes that are bred out of certain dogs from certain breeders. But
I'm not going to listen to the Funtie Times part for the simple reason that if I did that, in fact, I can actually probably go to this person's TikTok. Shall I do that? So I will link. I'll do that actually because I've got TikTok up anyway. Right, so she's a dog trainer. Lesbian, autistic as fuck, nerd, obvious. So yeah, basically I think it's probably better for me to... She does a lot of talking points on like transgenderism, but I think it's better for me to look at the doggy things. I will link Funtie Times down below, of course. It's just that whenever I watch her, I literally agree with the things that she says, and I just don't have anything to add to it. So it just doesn't make for a very good reaction on my part.
Dog talk. Not only is it acceptable to medicate your dog for behavioral issues, it is in fact one of the first steps you should take. If your dog is experiencing anxiety...
Apparently, like, CBD is supposed to be very good for dogs. I should look into getting some for Rosie, actually, while she's recovering. Because obviously it's a natural thing. But you have to obviously get animal CBD. You can't just give your dog normal CBD. But it's supposed to be very good, especially for dogs with, like, joint pains and stuff.
Mental health issues, behavioral issues. You should take them to the vet and see if you can get them on medication to assist you while you train. Oh, and people who have their dogs on anxiety medication or medication for behavioral issues long term are not lazy.
Yeah, I don't think there's anything wrong with that. If your dog needs medication, just give them medication, right? It's the same as like if they're on painkillers. Like if they have behavioral issues, I guess you could try and train it, but some dogs are really hard to train, and I don't know. I mean, you can always teach an old dog new tricks, I know, but some dogs just have neurotic problems or are somewhat neurotic or whatever, so yeah, I don't think it's a bad thing to put your dog on medications if it helps chill them out a bit. It will give them better quality of life as well, which is always something good.
It's been a while since I made a fat-phobic troll mad, so thank you.
This lady does a lot of content on like just LGBT stuff as well, but I found another doggy TikTok, which you won't see. I'll edit all of this out, but let's see what she has to say. I have to say though, I really like her haircut. It suits her so well. It looks really, really good on her. That's sort of like, that sort of Johnny Bravo-ish, like quiff, is that what you call it? Quiff, but with the side cut. It looks really nice on her.
It's always good to talk about this. In fact, talking about...
So it says in the comment, reply to a comment, literally about their health. You clearly do have access to the resources, so you really don't have an excuse to normalize obesity in dogs.
How fat phobia exists in the dog world might be my TikTok legacy, and I'm okay with that. What I have said and will continue to say is that a dog's weight is not the sole or best indicator of their health. That we should view weight through a morally neutral lens, neither good nor bad. And we should not shame or blame any dog owners for having a fat dog.
I think it depends on the level of obesity within the animal. Look, if you have a dog that is naturally, like I said, like my dog, she's naturally set a bit chunky compared to her sister. They eat the same food. But Daisy walks a lot. She gets like 10 to 15 kilometers a day. That's how much I walk my dog. She eats the same food as Rosie, and Rosie's skinny as fuck. Point being is like, yes, I understand what she's saying, that some dogs are maybe more inclined to be heavier set than others. And just because a dog is naturally a bit more heavy set, maybe you can't tell if they're healthy or not unhealthy. But when you're looking at like actually just morbidly obese dogs, animals that struggle under their weight, you can see they're gasping for air. This argument about you can't tell if somebody's healthy by their weight, I think it's just such a dumb argument. It's like, okay, if you're kind of in the middle, no, you can't. But if I see a street dog that is literally almost a walking carcass, I'm going to guess they're not very healthy. Equally, if I see a dog that's so morbidly obese because it's been overfat that the joints can barely support himself, it's unhealthy. You can judge somebody's health by their weight. Does that apply to everybody in all scenarios? No. Is there people that are naturally skinny and healthy? Yes. Is there people that are naturally a bit fatter and healthy? Yes. But in general, when you especially get to the extremes, you can tell by looking at somebody whether they're healthy or not. Even, I've said this all the time, I'm a bodybuilder, but even the extreme of bodybuilding, dieting to get super low on body fat is unhealthy for any level of competitor, any bodybuilder. To get super muscular is also unhealthy. So I don't really get this argument. Like you can tell if somebody's healthy by looking at them. For the most, not everybody, but you can with a lot of things. Same with animals.
Now, you mentioned that for your dog, in order to maintain them at the weight that you wanted to, all you had to do was decrease their calories. And I'm so glad that that worked for you. That does not work for everyone. Not every dog is physically capable of maintaining a thin body.
And again, she's not wrong. Some dogs are naturally more muscular. Some dogs are naturally bigger set. For example, bulldogs. So, like, I'm not like an expert on dog breeds, but some breeds are bigger than other breeds. Yeah, she's right in that.
I'm so glad that you don't feel like you've experienced any fat phobia when it comes to the health care that your dog has received. And that's not everyone's experience. My dog Freya was limping for about a full year before she had a complete tear of her CCL and her meniscus. And in that year, I had to fight with the vets to get them to do any x-rays or testing. All they wanted to recommend was for her to just lose weight, as if losing weight would solve all of her mobility issues, when it's likely that she was walking around with a partial CCL tear.
Why would she fight with the vet for an x-ray? Like, I literally can just walk into any vet, well, as long as I have x-ray equipment, and get an x-ray done. Like, it's not that hard. Maybe it's because stuff like that is covered under some insurance. And obviously, I don't have insurance on my dogs because I don't do stuff like that really over here. Maybe they do, but my dogs aren't insured. But if I need to get anything done, I just pay for it. Yeah, like, surely if your dog has like an issue and they're limping, I don't see why you would have to wait like a whole year to get a scan. That's weird.
For a year. And if the vet had done their job well, and caught her CCL tear when it was just a partial tear, rather than just wanting to recommend her to lose weight, then both my dog and myself would have gone through a lot less pain and anguish, and treatment would have been significantly easier. You can care about how your dog is fed and exercised and their health without perpetuating fat phobia, because feeding your dog well is not just about the calories they consume. Exercise is not just about weight loss, and health is not just about weight. No one is saying to ignore your dog's weight. Weight can absolutely be correlated with some health issues, and if you see a rapid change in your dog's weight, you should take them to the vet. And weight is way more complicated than just a straight fat is bad, thin is good.
I mean, obviously, like, animals can get malnourished. That's not so strange. I think it all depends, especially if it's like rapid gains or losses. Any rapid changes in weight for anybody is unhealthy.
And if you understood the science behind weight and health, you would know that this is more complicated. But people like you don't care about the science. You just want to use weight as a tool to shame and blame pet owners. And that is fatphobia. So if you're still struggling to see fat phobia in the dog world, you should take a look in the mirror. Meanwhile, I'll be over here normalizing obesity by pointing out the ways in which people like you and the systems we have to navigate as dog owners are fat phobic.
I don't know necessarily if I agree with the fat phobic. There's a commentator that made me chuckle. Wait, we finally made it to animal body positivity. This issue has been driving me nuts. Thank you. Like, animal body positivity. Animals don't think like that, but okay. Let's see if we can find another one.
I'm gonna piss some people off with this one.
So we've got another one. Yep, he is ahead of you and wearing a harness. What else do you expect? I don't know what this is about.
But having your dog in a tight heel is overrated. And setting the benchmark for a trainer's success by whether or not they can have dogs in a tight heel is setting the bar real low. Valuing control over communication when it comes to dog training is a holdover from compulsive dog training. And if you have to have your dog...
So I wasn't too sure what this is all about because she's wearing about the heel thing. And she literally means the heel command. Because I see people here, big agree, heeling looks cool in videos, but I love letting my dog have some choices. My Shetty can heel beautifully, but I am more impressed by the fact that other dogs can literally walk past my dogs, other dog and people. So it's basically about that your dog can heel. My dogs don't heel very well. They're quite inquisitive, I'm gonna say, especially like Rosie. She just loves to like say hi to people, which I try and not let her do that. Because I know that people can get scared, but they just love people, like especially children. Like they love children, but obviously I don't let I don't let my dogs just go to children unless I can see that the parents are okay with it. Rosie, I always let off the lead because Rosie doesn't like to walk on the lead, and she kind of just sniffs around. Whereas Daisy is an absolute maniac. She will run away. She will go and hunt after birds, and her recall, like she does listen, but not always. So I don't trust her in certain areas. I trust her off the lead. But the healing, I mean, like they know how to heal and how to say it and all of that. But in terms of like actually the heal command, they're not really, they don't do that very well. I'll be honest.
Dogs in a tight heel in order for them to behave. You're not actually demonstrating skill with training. Training a tight heel is a relatively simple skill to teach. I'm not going to say whether it's going to be easy or hard for your dog to learn because there's a lot of other factors that play into that, but it's a simple skill. And if what you really want is a little robot who's just going to walk next to you without any wants or needs or thoughts of their own, may I suggest that you get an actual robot, not a dog. Dog training is building a collaborative language with your dog so you can both communicate your wants and needs.
It should be that, from my understanding, and obviously I'm not a dog trainer, but from my understanding, dogs should know when it's playtime, when it's walking time, and when it's pee time. Because otherwise, like, they need to have some sort of control, like, basically follow. But apparently this whole alpha pack mentality is, like, disproven science, which I don't know if I believe in, because, like, there's always alphas within, like, wolf-like packs. So, I don't know.
Okay, let's go over some troubleshooting ideas.
Not me struggling to teach my dog a tight heel for over a year. Just want it for crowds, not all the time. So this is a comment that was left on the other video.
Okay. For this, we need the big board. All right. So in no particular order, these are the kinds of things that I would think about.
Yeah, I'm not going to watch dog training videos. I don't think that's relevant. Alright, so I found another one that's to do with fatphobia and the doggies. Also, body condition and obesity is directly linked to the quality, directly linked to length and quality of life.
Fatphobia in the dog community on TikTok, people were a little dismissive, even people that I generally like. They'd say things like, well, it's not that big of an issue though, right? I mean, it doesn't happen that often, right? But no matter where you go, you're going to see comments like this. Fatphobia in the dog community is a big issue.
The issue that I have, where's the lie though? Like, obesity is linked to poor quality of life. It is linked to increased risk of health conditions, and it is linked to your life being shortened. So where's the lie? I don't get it.
Because fatphobia is a tactic that people who are embedded in compulsive training methods, which I'm going to go ahead and assume this person is, use to try to dissuade people from using treats in positive reinforcement. I want y'all to think about the number of times that clients have said that they don't want to use treats with their dogs because they're worried that their dog will get fat. It's almost as though we think that getting
I don't really get that argument. Like, your dog won't get fat as long as you exercise it. Just walk your dog in it. But I guess that's an issue. A lot of people don't like spending the time walking their dogs, or they don't have the time to walk their dogs. Which then, in my case, my opinion is like, if you don't have the time to walk your dogs or exercise them properly, then maybe you shouldn't have a dog. I don't know. That's just like, that's just my opinion on it. I walk my dogs a lot. My dogs get 3 to 4 walks a day. Daisy gets a bigger one in the morning for about an hour. She gets, at lunchtime, they get one for around 10 minutes. in the evening before bed, they get one for around 10 minutes. And in the afternoon, usually Daisy gets another one that's anywhere from half an hour to an hour, depending on what my day is like, depending on what the weather's doing, and depending on how high energy she is that day.
Fat is the absolute worst outcome that could happen to a person, I mean dog. And this is why I will say over and over and over again that weight is not the sole or best indicator of health. While there are some studies that show a correlation between being fat leading to poorer health outcomes, there's never been any definitive causation. And in fact, there are some studies that show that if you're fat, it leads to better health outcomes. Because here's the thing about health. It isn't just your weight.
It isn't, but it's a good indicator. If you are extremely obese or extremely malnourished, you're unhealthy by definition. You're more likely to have issues leading from bone porosity to like certain types of cancer. This is scientific, studied, proven fact. Now, like I said before, is there a middle ground? Yes. But for the most part, if you're an extreme, you can tell by looking at somebody that they're unhealthy. I don't understand why this isn't. I really don't understand. Am I being dumb here? Like, I don't understand why people use it as an issue or an argument. Is this because some people are maybe like a little bit tubby or something like that, or like a little bit naturally skinny, and therefore it's like they're not sick at that point in time? If you're obese for a prolonged period of time, you are going to have health problems. That's just a fact. And I don't mean like, having like a couple of extra pounds on you, but if you're literally like like it's a medical term for excess body fat, which causes problems on the body. I don't know, I just get confused by this sometimes.
It's not just weight. There are other things that go into it. But your sheer fixation on weight as the sole indicator of health is fatphobic. If y'all actually cared about the health and well-being of these dogs, you would take the time to actually get to know them and their stories, and you would respect that their owners and their trainers and their vet staff actually know what's best for that dog. But it's not about the well-being of the dogs, it's about shaming owners who use treats. And this is why when you are deconstructing your internalized fat phobia, you have to do so broadly in all areas of your life. Because if your dog is fat, is overweight, that doesn't mean that your dog is failing or that you are failing, because being fat...
Yeah, it does mean that you are failing as a pet owner. It's your responsibility to make sure you feed and exercise your dog properly. Your dog doesn't have a choice in the matter. He's not a human being that can think like, oh, I'm going to eat some chocolate now. Don't feed your dogs chocolate, by the way. But yeah, like, no, if you have morbidly obese dogs, that is your fault as a pet owner. If you have morbidly obese children, that is your fault as a pet owner. I suppose children are kind of like pets, aren't they? that is your fault as a parent. I'm sorry. Yes, it is your duty of care to make sure that people under your care that can't think and do things for themselves properly, that they are taken care of. That's how this works.
Is morally neutral. And you can care about your dog's health and well-being without fixating on their weight. The video that this comment is on is of someone talking about their particular journey in training and how confident and joyful and engaged their dog is. So I wonder why you felt such a need to shame them. You feel a little insecure about your training methods? Maybe instead of trying to drag other people down, you work on building your own skills. Or at the very least, get more creative with how you try to drag us down. This is boring.
All right, well, that was an interesting find, isn't it? Like, I agree with some of the things she's saying, not everything, but I can see where she comes from with some things. But I like her delivery. I think she doesn't come across as condescending. I think she tries to explain things very well, and that goes a long way. I think in trying to convince people. Some people in this nook and cranny of the internet are very annoying. Basically, but she's right. Like, I didn't agree with everything she said, but I could see myself have a healthy discussion with her as opposed to just getting annoyed. On that note, I am going to go though. So insert a dog emoji, be rude not to. Let me know your thoughts down below. Comment, like, subscribe. Dislike the video if you disliked it, and also let me know down below why if you did. And yeah, I will see you in the next video, guys. Have a good one. Bye.